Hi, I'm historical romance author Jenny Goutet, and today I want to talk about the difference between clean romance and inspirational romance, throw a few other terms out there, and tell you what I write. Clean romance is, I know that a lot of people really dislike it, but it is an industry term. It's used by everyone, all of the platforms, and people do searches on it. It's the biggest search for this type of book. Clean romance encompasses more than just an absence of sex scenes. You generally are guaranteed to have no excessive violence, no swearing, no taking the Lord's name in vain, nothing that could be considered morally gray, such as cheating, for instance. Inspirational romance has a lot of those same elements. The only difference is that there is a guaranteed faith element. Protagonists, well, the heroes, the characters, they will pray, they will talk about their faith, they will be guided by it, they'll read the Bible, and that is what makes it inspirational romance. Some of the other terms, there's sweet romance, which does not necessarily mean that there is no on-the-page sex. Generally, that it's cozy in tone, that it's low angst. So that's what sweet generally means. I mean, sometimes it means that it's free from sexual content, but a lot of the time it just means that it's low angst. And then there's closed door, and that really doesn't guarantee anything except for the fact that there is nothing on the page. Everything could happen like up until the door is closed. You just don't see the actual act, but it could have all sorts of other things, the violence. It can have maybe more description of their time together, for lack of a better way to say it, until the actual act, and that you don't see. So that's what closed door is. And then no spice, it's a pretty good term. In no spice, you're going to be able to, most of the time, have a young teenager read it and it will be fine. But it does not guarantee some of the same things that a clean romance will guarantee, and that is the fact that there are no other morally gray things, including swearing and violence and other things like that. So feel free, first of all, before I go on, feel free to say what you have to say in the comments. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Go ahead. As for what I write clean romance. None of my books have any sexual content. There's kissing, generally mild. Sometimes readers say, hey, I wish there was a little bit more, There is violence, but it's not violence to no purpose. It's usually something that happens to advance the plot, and it is not super angsty, and it gets resolved. I don't write sweet romance. I don't write low angst, although some of my books are low angst, like A Whimsical Notion. There's not a lot of angst in that one. So it just depends. So in general, unless I put a little trigger warning, I have two books that are a little bit, one talks about consummation, even though they're a married couple and it doesn't happen on the scene, but I put a trigger warning for young teens for that one. And then one of my books, the villain is narcissistic, makes it difficult. So there's a trigger warning there. But otherwise, none of my books have anything that would prevent a young teen from reading them. It's kind of timely because ever since I started publishing, I do get comments about the fact that there's no faith elements in my book. There's no prayer, they didn't call it to God, they didn't read the Bible, things like that. And I am a Christian, so I can understand where the confusion comes. And there are two reasons for me personally that I chose to write clean romance and not inspirational. One of them is purely a matter of voice. So I grew up reading a lot of the classics, British literature, historical, translated French, German, Russian, things like that. And the obvious faith elements that we can see today sometimes in inspirational romance was not something I necessarily read when I was reading the classics, because I think there is maybe an evangelical bias in America that wasn't there at the time. Now, that does not mean that there was nobody that had faith, or that whatever inspirational romance does, that it's impossible. I'm just saying that was not something that struck me. when I started to write historical, it seemed more natural to write more similar to what I had grown up reading. I think it's great. I love to read inspirational, so absolutely no problem there, but that's just what inspired me. Although I grew up with faith and believing in God, in my teens and early 20s, it was not a big part of my life. So if I had come across a book where the faith elements were too overt, it would have been enough to turn me away, because that's just not where I was at that time of my life. But if I were to read a book that had a lot of noble traits, such as forgiveness and mercy and love and hope and nobility and restraint, all these characters that, as a Christian, I believe come from God, then that would inspire me to be more like that without necessarily turning me away. I wanted to write those kinds of books. I wanted to write books where you find the elements that I believe are inspired by God, and you want to live more like that. But sort of like the book of Esther, God's name is not mentioned. You just see his traits of it everywhere. So if those are the kind of books that you like to read, then I hope that you will read mine or continue reading mine. The book that I have coming out in less than a month is A Love Once Lost, and it's published by Haven, which is a clean romance imprint under a publishing house, which is considered to be a Christian publishing house. But this is specifically for authors like me and readers who like this kind of literature. And there is crossover. There, people who love inspirational romance and who are Christians can also enjoy clean romance, and vice versa. With my book coming out, and since I'm still getting comments of why is no one praying? Why is there no faith? I wanted to explain why and just hope that you will enjoy it anyway. And if you want a good deal, pre-order it, because it's cheap. It's 40% off and free shipping, and you get goodies. So that's what I wanted to say today. Feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more about my books, my writing, and just writing in general. And I hope you have a good day.